Have you ever felt it? That rising panic when your relationship gets a little too quiet? That desperate, almost primal need for reassurance, even when, logically, you know everything is probably fine? If you have, you know just how painful and confusing anxious attachment can be. Well, today, we are diving deep. We're going to figure out exactly why this happens and, more importantly, what you can do about it.
Let's start right here with this quote, and just let it sink in for a moment. That anxiety you feel when things are calm, it's not a red flag about your relationship. It's a red flag that your own internal alarm system is stuck in the on position. See, for someone with an anxious attachment style, safety itself feels suspicious. It feels temporary. And that is the wild paradox, isn't it? The very peace you crave is the thing your brain registers as a major threat.
And that is our mission for the next few minutes. We are going to show you exactly why this happens. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden wiring that makes your brain demand drama as proof of love, and then we'll look at how you can start to rewire that system for peace.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We've got 5 parts. We'll start with the paradox of calm, then get into your internal alarm system and map out the hyperactivation loop. After that, we'll look at the science of reassurance and finish with the most important part, how you can actually start to build security for yourself. Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, the paradox of calm. This is all about the lived experience, what it actually feels like, day in and day out, to be on constant high alert in the one place you're supposed to feel safe.
Sound familiar? Constantly checking your phone, analyzing the tone of a text, reading into every little silence for any sign of distance. It's this state of relational hypervigilance, and it is absolutely exhausting. And it usually leads to what we call protest behaviors. Sending that one extra text, maybe picking a fight, all in a desperate attempt to get a response, any response, just to quiet that storm inside. It is just a draining, endless cycle. And this, right here, this is the internal civil war, isn't it? It feels like you're two completely different people. There's the rational you, the one who genuinely wants a calm, stable, loving connection. But then there's the reactive you, the one who gets hijacked by fear and whose only thought is, this silence means they're gone. I have to do something right now to fix this. That internal battle, that's the heart of the whole struggle.
So that leads us to Section 2. Where does this even come from? We're going to look at your internal alarm system. And I need to be super clear here. This is not a character flaw. This isn't something wrong with you. It's a deeply programmed survival response that has very specific roots.
The key concept we need to understand is called the internal working model, or IWM. The best way to think about it is like a subconscious blueprint, or maybe the operating system that runs in the background of all your relationships. It got coded in your earliest childhood, and it's constantly making predictions about how people will behave. It's trying to answer questions like, can I count on people? Is love stable? Am I actually safe? And the crazy part is, this whole system runs on autopilot.
So how does that blueprint get written? Well, it all comes down to consistency. A child who gets consistent care, they're soothed when they're upset, their needs are met reliably. They build a secure IWM. The core belief hardwired into their system is, I'm safe, love is stable. But if that caregiving is inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes available, sometimes gone, that child develops an anxious IWM, and their core belief is totally different. I have to fight for love. It could vanish at any second.
And this right here is where everything goes sideways. Because when your internal blueprint is coded to mistrust security, a quiet moment isn't peaceful. It's the eerie silence before the storm. Your brain reads calm as danger, and that perceived threat instantly triggers the brain's alarm system, the amygdala, which hits the big red panic button and floods your whole system with fear.
Which brings us right into the heart of the machine. Section 3, the hyperactivation loop. Now that we see what pulls the trigger, we can map out the whole system. And what feels like total chaos is actually a super predictable 4-stage pattern of panic.
Okay, let's walk through it. Stage 1, the trigger. An unanswered text, a weird tone of voice, any kind of ambiguity gets flagged as a threat. That leads to Stage 2, hyperactivation. Your amygdala goes into overdrive, pumping your body full of stress hormones. You can feel it in your chest, right? That panic? So to make it stop, you jump to Stage 3, protest behavior. This is your go-to move, the flood of texts, the call, whatever it is, to force a response. And that brings us to the final and most devious stage, inconsistent reinforcement. Eventually, your partner responds. You get a little hit of relief. But here's the trap. Your brain just learned that protesting works, and the whole loop gets stronger for next time.
So you're probably thinking, if this feels so awful, why is it so hard to just stop? Well,
That's what we're covering here in Section 4, because there are some powerful forces at play that make this cycle incredibly addictive.
The main engine driving this is something called intermittent reinforcement, and the easiest way to understand it is to just think of a slot machine. The reward, that little hit of reassurance, is totally unpredictable. You don't know if the next text will get a reply or the next call will be answered. And because that reward is uncertain, the seeking behavior, the protesting, becomes frantic and compulsive. Your brain gets hooked on pulling that lever, just hoping that this time it will pay off.
And it's not just psychological. This loop has a real physical impact on your brain. Living in this state of chronic stress with all that cortisol flooding your system literally weakens the part of your brain that's supposed to be in charge, your prefrontal cortex. So what you have is this massive power struggle going on inside your own head. On one side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. Let's call it the planner. It's the calm, rational CEO. On the other side is your amygdala, the alarm. It's the hypervigilant security guard that only sees threats. Now, normally, the planner can tell the alarm to chill out. But when that loop gets going, the alarm basically stages a coup. It hijacks the system, shuts down the planner, and takes over. And that's why, in that moment of panic, all logic just goes right out the window.
Which brings us, finally, to the most important part of this whole thing. Section 5, how to build security. Now I want you to really hear this. It is absolutely possible to break this cycle. The key isn't trying to control your partner or the relationship. The key is learning how to retrain your own nervous system.
So, the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually do it? How do you break this powerful, automated loop and start to build a real sense of safety from the inside out? Well, it starts with one single, non-negotiable rule: the mandatory 20-minute pause. This is the whole game. It's the wedge you drive between the trigger and your reaction. Think of it as the circuit breaker that cuts the power to the entire loop.
Okay, here's your action plan for when you feel that panic start to rise. Step 1, map your script. You have to know your specific triggers and your go-to protest behaviors ahead of time. Step 2, and this is the hard part, you pause. For 20 minutes, you do not act on the urge. It's non-negotiable. And step 3, this is crucial. You don't just sit there and suffer. You actively use that time to calm your body down by activating your vagus nerve.
Your vagus nerve is basically the big chill-out button for your nervous system. Activating it sends a direct signal to your brain to power down the alarm. The easiest way is the 4-7-8 breath. You breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and do a long, slow exhale for 8. Splashing cold water on your face works wonders too. Honestly, even just humming to yourself or doing some slow stretching can physically signal safety to your brain and bring that rational planner back online.
And here's the beautiful thing. Every single time you make it through that 20-minute pause, you're building a new muscle. You're practicing the ultimate skill here, internal self-soothing. This is the long-term goal. It's consciously choosing to turn inward for safety instead of desperately searching for it outside yourself. It's learning to be your own safe harbor. And that right there, that is the fundamental shift that changes everything. Real, lasting security isn't something you can get from someone else, no matter how great they are. It's not something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, inside of yourself, every single time you choose to pause instead of protest.
So I want to leave you with this. That overwhelming wave of panic, the one that feels so real and so predictive of disaster, it's not telling you your future. It's an echo from your past. It's a loyal but very outdated survival program trying to protect you from a danger that just isn't there anymore. The panic you feel is a memory, not a prophecy. And by learning to work with your nervous system, you can finally teach it a new story, one of safety, stability, and genuine peace.